I saw the Aquaman 2 movie, and I have to say that this title is clickbait. I'm lying. The movie is actually garbage. No, that was a lie. This movie is really good. It is actually really good. Um, the the special effects, more than anything, were very well done. That kind of is like one of the main things to look for now when you see the later DC films, especially it being the last one in the DCEU, just to well, the DCCU, just to clarify from what happened, or the horrible mistake that was with the Flash. But for this movie, it was actually very well done, very much on brand with how Aquaman is, very colorful, bright in certain aspects, even doing the underwater stuff. Something that really didn't get. Uh, it should have got that. That should have been the point of reference and praise for the Aquaman movie, considering what they did with their color palette for the Little Mermaid movie. Um, it it was very well done. Again, it's like there's really not that much an overall aesthetic that they could have done differently from the original one. So two being essentially um, back to formula was good. So it wasn't anything atrocious, not like that. The story was actually very well done, and honestly, one of those things that's like this is very much welcome within this kind of world and this in like the overall encumbered superhero concept within what DC is supposed to be. So they kept the story very much in house. It was something that was an Atlantean based and Atlantean issue to deal with, much like the first one. So because of that, there's no reason for him to go get Batman, Flash, Wonder Woman, or Superman in order to fix whatever problem that he's got. Unlike the Flash movie, where because of his actions, it led to those characters not being around for him to go run to during a big bad situation. And again, um, I feel as though that's actually a plus, considering the fact that this is a movie set in a universe with an expanded aspect like that. But keeping the story itself very much in house and um, a lot of callback towards the original movie was very well done. Now, the flashbacks were excessive. I say this after seeing the first movie. I rewatched the first movie recently, and then to see the second movie have so many flashbacks and callbacks to remind the audience of the stuff that took place within the first movie, I felt that a lot of it was excessive. Um, Not bad considering how long of time has been since the first movie and the sequel, but excessive in ordinance of you kind of had a part in you had in the beginning of the movie of him doing a quick little summary to give you the play-by-play of what's going on, a quick little flashback tutorial thing on what's up with Aquaman, and then you have it to where afterwards throughout the movie multiple things happen that kind of just remind you or give you a sense of oh yeah, this happened on the first movie, this happened on the second, this happened on the first movie, this happened on the first movie. But I really wish they didn't do that. Sometimes it was warranted, other times it was like, all right, this is too much. But there were far and few in between. But it's just when it happened, it was like, okay, it was. They did more with the callbacks that were just people referencing the first movie, seeing as how they were dealing with Ocean Master again, and he was basically in the role of being king, and then you're trying to understand, collaborate a lot of relationships between like with uh, Aquaman and Black Manta, him bringing up his father and talking about that, and then just doing their job in general. Those were fine. You didn't really need to show me what happened in the past. You were this was one of those moments where it was like the tellings could have been used just to hyper emphasize the dialogue that you currently had going on, rather than to show me in just weird little baseless moments of just arm, oh, remember or where he did, oh. Or Black Man like my father in revenge. It's like, well, we got you doing it for revenge, but we don't need to see the scene for what happened with the father. But you gonna show it anyway. Now the action was to me a huge highlight in this movie. I mean, huge, because it was very well done. Um, they had like it was well done to the point where it was like I was annoyed that there weren't um more hand-to-hand fights between the characters. Hell, I love the fact that technically Black Manta never stronger than Aquaman, but kept getting away, kept getting away at the last minute because of the fact that it's like, yeah, I'm still not strong enough to defeat you, but I'm a contender, and that was actually really enjoyable. And then when it got to the final confrontation in the end, it was you were now seeing them go for blows to where it was like, all right, we're on equal footing. I felt that it was just sloppily done how he got the upper hand on him in the end, but that was more so just for plot convenience or just like it. In order for everything else to progress, you needed Aquaman to get hurt right now to take this L, but it wasn't necessary. Like how it went down, I wish it was done better. Um, but the action was very well done, and it helped push the story along in a great way. So there's a lot of beneficial moments towards the action because it did and dove a lot into the relationships between certain characters when they were handling and having the action. So that was fantastic. The acting, as far as far as I can tell, the acting in this movie is great, except for one person, and that person was whoever they had play Stingray. Whoever that lady was, I don't understand what was the idea behind her being the way that she was, but it it's hard to explain what it was, but it was very off-putting when they had her on the. She's not on there a lot, but it's very off-putting. And Stingray, I believe, is like the second in command or the sidekick to Black Mantis. But yeah, it was like what she was doing, like she was yelling and screaming, and it was like she was sounding like, oh, she sounded like the dude from Road Warrior. The second, yeah. So the second Mad Max movie, Road Warrior. No, we go in, we kill. She sounded like him at certain times in the movie. But aside from that, everything else was great. Jason Momoa did fantastic, pulling basically just carrying the movie in terms of like just keeping everyone up on his level. I thought that was fantastic. So he just like he was still being him, and not in the sense of him, Jason Momoa, but him as he was presented as Aquaman. It was set up and it was made to where it was like the burden of the job was something that was boring him because he wasn't allowed to do what he wanted, which is something that he's always been allowed to do. But now he's faced with the facts of he doesn't really get or know Atlantis, so he might be able to be one of them, but he's not one of them. And so because of that, it just comes with that added notion of where it's like he believes that they're capable and they're ready to mix in and mingle with the surface dwellers, but the Atlanteans are still kind of skeptical about that. And then he's like, well, the surface dwellers are ready for it, but until we do something, then we're always going to have the problem and hate the surface dwellers for doing things to us without the acknowledgement that they have no idea that we're even here. So it was a hard pressed point because they went into like climate control and things like that, which they actually made a part of the plot. And in a, I wouldn't say creative, but they made it a part of the plot in a way that was like, okay, this is decent because again, considering the fact that you're keeping this in house, so that was fine. But it was like to the story, and it was like just having Jason Momoa, especially when he went in his ways to go do what the story was, saving Orm, fighting the bad guys, fighting Black Manta and everything like that. He never changed as a person. And then his decision making, his actions and the stuff that he did in the movie kind of showcased and gave credit towards the fact that his way of doing things, which is essentially not Atlantean, were the better ways of handling the situations and the concepts. While the things that Orm were trying to do, like in terms of handling situations, really didn't get stuff done, but is what Orm was taught and raised to do. being the fact that he was raised and taught to become the next king. Um, but it was like, and you got to see Orm understand exactly how different him and Arthur were, but at the same time appreciate and respect how they were. And then that Arthur actually was able to get things done despite the fact that he wasn't brought up or taught the way how Orm was in order to truly be a king. Uh, and then that just added a lot because they already stated before that this movie was going to be a brother movie, which it definitely was, because it was mainly focusing on Orm and Arthur, coming to terms with each other and understanding one another, which they never got to do, and it was fantastic. Like that was really fantastic. I really liked in particular. It was one scene with them talking, to where Arthur was like he hates being the king of Atlantis because of the scrutiny that it is, and then he blames Orm because he was like, if you just wasn't such a dickhead, you would have been king of Atlantis. But you were a dickhead, and then and then that's why I had to take your throne away from you. And then and he was like, you never wanted to come to throne? He's like, I hate this job. He was like, I don't want to be the king of Atlantis. And he was like, the only reason I took the throne, he said, then why did you challenge me? And this, he said, why did you challenge me for the throne? He was like, because you attacked the surface. And he's like, you never would have done that. I would have never had a reason to go to Atlantis, and you would have still been king. But you did attack the surface world because you're a dickhead. And then he was like, and then because of that, I had to dethrone you. And then he was like, so you never wanted to be king of Atlantis? He was like, no. And he was like, that's weird. He was like, as soon as you were born, my father made it his sole purpose to train me in hopes of defeating you one day if you ever came back and claimed for the throne. Wow, that's sad. And he was like, I never once even thought of taking the throne away from you. It was never a prospect for me. Yet your whole life was based around the fear that I would take it. Then he was like, kind of sad considering the fact that I came down there without no prep time whatsoever, kicked your ass, and still took the throne. Then he was like, no, you didn't. Yes, I did. And they had like a nice little back and forth. But the whole movie, when they interacted with each other, they had a really good, nice back and forth. But the movie was solid. The movie was very solid. It was funny. It was entertaining. It had action. I cannot think of a part of the movie where essentially I wasn't, you know, involved or watching the movie itself. There's no really any lame or bad parts, any lull in the story or anything like that. It's just kind of straightforward, right there in your face. Honestly, a good film to see during this weekend before the holidays if you want to. But sad to say that this is going to be the last iteration of these characters within the DC universe. But this is me talking over the review of the film. If you're done with the review, you can just turn this off now. But this is just me talking. But I'm sad that I know for a fact this movie is probably not going to get its due credit, considering the fact that you have too many elements going against it currently. One, it's a superhero movie. Right now, those are dying. They're a dime a dozen, and they're just dying off in epic proportions. Two, there was no type of backing towards this movie. After James Gunn said that it doesn't matter, that was it as far as a bunch of nerds were concerned. That then why even look at it? They just kind of cast their die as just suck off of that statement alone, which is ridiculous and sad. You also have this being essentially getting the Adam Sandler treatment, where you had the Flash movie come out, which was a huge disappointment, and then you release an Aquaman movie, which might be better, but not. And essentially, the Adam Sandler treatment is in conjunction to the Jack and Jill movie, and then him releasing That's My Boy. And if you've seen Jack and Jill, you know how terrible that movie is. But if you've seen That's My Boy, you would go, oh yeah, that was Adam Sandler returned to formula. But nobody saw it because everybody assumed he was going to make another Jack and Jill. And you remember when M. Night Shyamalan did that with the Devil after he did The Last Airbender? Same thing. But also the Devil sucked. But that's a bad comparison because the Devil sucked. It was the old lady. But what a twist. There's too much negative going around for DC and Warner Brothers in general for this movie to have actually, build up any steam or momentum. But I would urge you, if you feel like watching something this holiday season, or like, you know, you wanted to see a movie, or you can go see a movie or something like that, Aquaman is the way to go. It honestly is enjoyable. It's funny. It's a good movie. Much like the first one, it surprised the fuck out of me with how good it was. And to the point where it's like, yeah, I can see myself purchasing this movie. And I know that's high praise for me, but that's just how, like, essentially even the first movie was like that. And I was like, yeah, that's just how good this is based off of the merit that it's its own movie alone. It's not laden with cameos. It doesn't need the MCU's overarching concept of, does this matter? Does this matter? It's like, you know, if it's, you look at it as its own singular individual movie, bam, you got something. Oh, yeah, Zack Snyder. That's another person who ruined the brand of DC with his stupid decisions. But, yeah, this, like, is, especially from the first Aquaman to the sequel, they are a very good set of films that honestly just do justice towards the character of Aquaman. Jason Momoa is a fantastic actor. The concepts are solid. The storyline is solid. Everything that it has for going for it is one of those things where it's like, these are the better superhero movies. These are the better end of the superhero movie genre, the actual good ones. And yeah, that's all I have to say about that. But yeah, there's been another episode of Fun with Flame. I've been your host, Danieltheflame, and as always, good people, hope you have fun.